Great way to get going here in Viana do Castelo. It's the same idea, except 80 bazillion times better.
That's so good.
That is amazing. I'm so glad I kept looking for this thing because the payoff was definitely worth it. Welcome to Destination Eat Drink, the travel channel for foodies. I'm Brent Peterson. Today we're in Viana do Castelo in the north of Portugal. That's the name of the region, north. And Viana do Castelo is the small city in the north of Portugal. Came up here to have a little weekend break and check this place out. We've wanted to see it for a while. So we arrived in the train station, took about 5 hours to get here from where we live in Setúbal. We had to change stations in Porto, change trains in Porto, and we got up here, we dropped our bags, and we came right over here to the elevator to Santa Luzia. This is going to take us up to the Church of Santa Luzia, the Church of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. And so I bought our little tickets. They were €3 each to take this funicular up. And I mean, don't these things look like they're raffle tickets from a grade school bake sale? I mean, it's hilarious. So this funicular is about 100 years old, 100th anniversary last year. Supposedly it's the longest funicular in Portugal, a country that has a lot of funiculars, and it operates by counterweights. So I'm looking at this car, it's just me and Karen sitting in here. It holds about 15 people, and there's not a driver. There's not an engineer. It just operates by counterweights. So maybe we'll get a couple more passengers in here, but then we'll make our way up to the church and take a look at the views because it's just supposed to be spectacular up there. Behind me is the Church of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. It's at the top of this Mount Santa Luisa. This might look like an old Gothic church or a Byzantine church or something, but actually, this thing was only finished, less than 70 years ago. So it's very new, but it was built in this old style. You can go inside the church for free. I guess it's worth going inside because you can see the stained glass. Stained glass is stunning in there. You can see the rose window that was made in Lisbon and shipped up here. But otherwise inside, there's not a whole lot to see. What you want to do is go around the right side here, and there's a little entrance, and it costs €2 right now, and you walk up about 200 steps, and you can get to the very top of the tower. If you've got vertigo or claustrophobia, it's probably not for you because the staircases get progressively narrower and narrower until you finally come to the last staircase, which is this little spiral staircase. I couldn't even fit my feet on the treads. Like it was a little bit rough going up there, but once you get out there, totally worth it. The views down to the Lima River and out to the ocean and the entire city of Viana do Castelo is just spectacular. Some of the best views I've ever seen. I mean, we went to that church in Braga last year and it was great, but I think the view here might have it beat because you've got the water down here. It's really, really spectacular. I really enjoyed it a lot. So, definitely worth it. Fun to take the funicular. Great to see this church. Great way to start our little trip here in Viana do Castelo, but we need to get food, I think. This is Manuel Notario, the most famous bakery in all of Viana do Castelo. So I came here looking for their bolo de Berlim, but they come out at a specific time. I asked the guy, he said, it comes out at 11:30. We're here before 11:30, so we can't get that. I was also on the lookout for something called the Torta de Viana. And I found it. It's in the window, but the cake is literally this long. And I said, do you cut a slice for me? He said, no, you have to buy the whole cake. That's not going to happen. But then he said, he pointed to the display case and said he has one that he does. He cuts a slice of the Torta de Viana and they dip it in chocolate. So I mean, you know, of course. Look at this. Covered in chocolate, and then inside is sponge cake with egg custard. Oh my God. It looks amazing. That is fantastic. It's funny, you know what that reminds me of? When I was a kid, and my mom would put a ding dong in my sack lunch, because it would have the cake on the inside and the chocolate on the outside. It's the same idea, except 80 bazillion times better. Got a little chamomile tea. I'm not going to get all jacked on coffee today. And then I asked him, what else is typical of this region and your speciality in this bakery? And so he pointed me to this little Santa Luzia cake. And it's appropriate that they call it Santa Luzia because, you know, you've got the Santa Luzia Hill, you've got the church, you know. Santa Luzia is St. Lucie is very, very important to this city. So they named a little cake after her. This is almond. He said it's just almond. So I wonder if this is made with almond flour, or maybe they add marzipan in there, almond paste, and then it's topped with almonds and powdered sugar. Crunchy, moist and delicious and cakey on the inside. That is amazing. Wow. I can definitely see why this is the most famous bakery in all of Viana do Castelo. This stuff is top notch. Maybe we have to wait till 11:30 when those bolo de Berliner come out. I don't think we are. But that would be funny if we just sat in here and waited in line for those things to come out of the oven. But since everything they do is great, I imagine those are amazing. And I think they say that they come out at a specific time so people know, come at 11:30, you know. But hey, what's not to enjoy? I've got all of this great stuff in front of me. So good. We're at Zé Natario for a little break here at one of the most famous bakeries in all of Viana do Castelo. What I got was, looks like a donut, right? This is a bolo de Berlin. Berlin donut, or Berlin cake is what it is essentially. And inside, it's filled with this cream. So it's like a cream-filled donut. And this is one of the most popular pastries in all of Portugal. You've heard of pastel de nata. This is one of the most consumed pastries in all of Portugal. So let's give this one a try. Fried dough, sprinkled with sugar, that filling, cream custard. They must have added some kind of citrus in there. Has a little bit of acidity to it, just a touch. Really good. These guys are famous for their bolo de Berliner. So had to get one. This will keep us energized for the rest of the day. We've done a fair amount of walking so far today, so the sugar will keep us going. And I got a little tea as well. No coffee for me today. That's so good. This place is packed. We came around the corner here to stand at the counter, But on the other side, all the tables are filled. There's families in here. There's people just coming in for a coffee. They do a good business here, and I can tell why. Their bolo de Berliner is very, very good. We're at Liateria de Carmo, and this place is famous for their Jesuitisch. That's this pastry here. If you've ever been to France, especially Bordeaux, you might be familiar with Jesuitisch. It originated there, but this is slightly different. This one actually originated in Santa Turso, I think is the name of the town. It's a city about an hour south of here between Braga and Porto. So what a Jesuitisch is, it's named after the Jesuits, and you can see why it has this triangular shape that's supposed to mimic their headwear. So that's why it's called a Jesuitisch, and it was probably originated in a Jesuit convent in that city. So it's very popular throughout this area, and this place known for their Jesuitisch. So what is a Jesuitisch? Puff pastry topped with an egg custard baked with a meringue on the top. That's the traditional one. And I asked him what this design was, and he said it was the egg custard. But I don't think the design itself has any particular meaning. It's just because it looks cool. And that's why I got it, because it looks cool. So let's give it a try. I had Jesuitisch when we were in Braga, and I really like it. I mean, puff pastry and meringue, how can you go wrong? Now, this is kind of a traditional one, but as times have modernized, there's all kinds of different ones. They've got almonds on top, they've got chocolate chips, they've got fillings. So you can find all kinds of Jesuitisch, but I'm really happy with this one. So good. And then I just got some water to go with mine. But Karen asked the guy if they had fresh squeezed orange juice. Took out a couple oranges, sliced them in half, put them in the machine, squeezed right in front of us. Look at that, fresh squeezed OJ. That's one of the things I really like about Portugal is they don't mess around with the fresh juices. A lot of places have their own juice squeezers, and you can get fresh squeezed right on the spot OJ. Fantastic. Great way to get going here in Viana do Castelo. We're at Pasteleria Dantes to finish up our little pastry crawl here in Viana do Castelo. This place was recommended to us by our friends Kim and Mike, who were here and said that they had this unbelievable cake called a russo, which I've never heard of before. And they said it kind of reminded them of a pavlova, which is a famous kind of meringue cake from New Zealand or Australia, depending on who you believe who originated it. But anyway, they got this russo, and so I decided to get, even though, I mean, look at the size, this is crazy. It's got to be 3 inches high. Anyway. Okay. So, maybe the crust is between like a pie crust and a shortbread, dusted with powdered sugar, and the inside, that's like marshmallow cream. So even though this thing is absolutely massive, it's very light. I'm just laughing because this thing is so huge. All right. But here's the main event. Here's what I came for. This is called the Torta de Viana. So it's named after this city. And so you'd think with a torte that's named after your city, it would be easy to find it. But I've asked at several places, and they were all like, no, no, no. And I've had this happen before, like authentic, characteristic pastries or dishes from certain towns, and then you start asking around about it, and people are like, no, we don't carry that, no, we don't have it. And I think in some cases it's because it's like an old thing, you know, and it kind of fell out of favor. In this case, I'm not sure if that's the reason, but this is definitely an old recipe. The nuns at Santa Anna here in Viana do Castelo created this recipe, and they created it over 500 years ago. So that's how far back this thing goes. We'll give it a try. Wow. So moist and rich. So that is like a sponge cake, but maybe a little bit denser than the typical sponge cake that you're used to, with an egg cream on the inside. And then they roll it up. It comes out in a huge log like this, and then they cut individual slices. That is amazing. I'm so glad I kept looking for this thing, because the payoff was definitely worth it. Well, it's been a sweet trip here, literally and figuratively, at Viana do Castelo here in the north. I would say this, you know, we're here in the definite off season, like the off season. I would say, you know, I usually don't recommend to come during the height of the tourist season. This might be a place where you would do that, simply because there would be more going on and the weather would be nicer. Frankly, the weather up here in the winter is cold and rainy, and it's really rained pretty much the whole time we've been up here. Not complaining, but I'm letting you know, you know, it's not beach weather, and there's some gorgeous beaches up here. So, you know, that's something to consider. Although here in the off season, we got a magnificent little place to stay that was very inexpensive. So on the plus side, there's that. If you enjoy this video, if you enjoy food and travel, consider supporting it at buymeacoffee.com/destination-eat-drink. I've got a podcast too. You can listen to locations all over the world, food and drink. It's also called Destination Eat Drink. It's on all podcast platforms. And I also have a website and blog with foodie travel guides to cities all over the world. You can get that at destination-eatdrink.com. Thank you so much for watching. Always a pleasure to have you here to join me in my little foodie adventures, and see you down the road.
Hey,